Hi, my name is Mike Tolliver. I'm with Mersive Technologies, and at ISE 2018 we are announcing Kepler, which is a brand new web service offering for that sits alongside Solstice and offers real-time analytics, real-time monitoring, and usage data, and availability status. So if you're an IT administration team, you can use this to help guarantee uptime for your entire deployment all at once, and you can, I think the real value, the long-term value, will be in discovering the high-level view of the analytics data. So Solstice, let's consider Solstice as, if you have a large network of conference rooms, of meeting spaces, Solstice kind of sits at the heart of each one of those, and that's kind of it facilitates how your users, how your team members get together and collaborate and engage with each other. And so with that, we can consider each one of those Solstice endpoints in all those rooms as individual interconnected nodes that can deliver data. And once we look at that data in aggregate at a high level, you can determine trends and human-centered metrics that will help you to guide future purchasing, discover how to remove bottlenecks from engagement, and inform you about how your team engages with each other. So let's take a look. This is the dashboard, the kind of high-level page that offers some highlight views. So this is real-time information about meetings currently underway. We can have a few metrics that we'd like to up-level. This can be different depending on what's going on in your environment. So one thing that we like to focus on is that Solstice and Kepler, they're in the same ecosystem, and that gives us the ability to, as an analytics engine, focus really on depth. So a lot of analytics services kind of focus on breadth, the ability to talk to any number of hardware devices, but what you can actually get from those hardware devices is pretty limited. With Solstice and Kepler, there is no limitation. We really focus on depth. You can talk directly to the software. You can deliver any number of metrics. The potential for insight is really unlimited. So with that in mind, how do you get data that's not in the ecosystem? Well, we built that into it. Kepler can ingest arbitrary metadata that can be fed in programmatically via an API, or categorized manually within the Kepler interface. So one good example of that is room type. So Solstice itself doesn't know what kind of room it's in, but with Kepler you can feed that metadata in, and that allows you to slice the analytics data in ways that are meaningful to you. So for an example, we can see here that usage by room type is split out in a meaningful way. We can tell that our organization likes to meet in huddle spaces. That's the number one most used room type whenever we're talking about people getting together and collaborating. Next is large conference rooms, and third on the list is public spaces. But this data can be sliced in any way that's valuable to you and your organization. And we get a quick overview of the user devices, distribution. One part that I think is very important to show is this message feed. So as Kepler collects data, as that data grows, we get more and more ability to find statistical baselines and statistical averages, which also gives us the ability to point out anything that's unique, any statistical outlier, any spike in usage. For example, this feed right here, like 126 meetings occurred yesterday. That's up 84% from average. We're able to do that because we have a statistical baseline from the usage data over time, and the big spike is obviously because we were demoing a lot yesterday, and that means a lot of short meetings. But that's an example of the capabilities of the automated insights that can be delivered through this message feed. You can also visualize what's happening in the world. So if you have a large deployment, big enterprise, you have offices in many different locations, you can zoom in and we'll auto recluster based on your zoom level, and you can see things like, we've got 5 instances currently active in New York. We'll also have the ability to show overlaid information about heat map usage, and if there's alerts, anything you need to be notified about, things will spike up red. You can see that, something's going on in this one office, let's go check that out. We can look at a basic graph here. Like I mentioned, you can configure alerts to be notified whenever anything that's important to you happens, but you can also break down usage. And so So this is interesting because this is one example of a usage graph, but I want to show some of the ways that we can break it down. So since Solstice has the ability to talk to a calendar and be notified of calendar meetings, we know if any meeting that happens, is it scheduled or is it an ad hoc meeting? Now, why is that interesting? You can look for usage trends. You can look for any differences in behavior on ad hoc meetings and scheduled meetings, and that will inform meeting culture and organizational culture and how to remove any bottlenecks that might exist. Same thing for room type, location, display type, any kind of metadata that you want to feed in. Is there any difference in meeting behavior or engagement whenever I have a multi-touch display versus a projector that you don't interact with at all? Those are just a few examples of the analytics and the meaningful data that Kepler will be able to provide. If you have a chance, come check out our booth. We're in Hall 14, and visit us on mersive.com for more info. Thank you.